The technique involved with an effective serve is probably the most difficult thing to learn in tennis. Sometimes, although be it seldom, it clicks right away. Other times, a lot of patience is involved. At some point, you might need to let your player do whatever it takes to get it in the service box so they can be introduced to competition. One thing I'll often recommend is using the first serve to try the correct motion, and then for the second, going back to Old Faithful, so they're able to have some fun. The serve is definitely a shot where the correct grip does not come naturally. The grip used should be number 2, the same grip used on the backhand. The serve consists of 2 main principles and 6 key positions. The first main principle is that the serve is a throwing motion. Utilizing a throwing motion quite simply allows for racket head speed, which allows for power and spin. At this point in the course, in your student's development, the time you've spent teaching your child an effective throwing motion is really going to pay off. The second principle is pronation, or the inward to outward rotation of the arm. This is a vital piece of the serve and is performed by all effective servers. Pronation allows the kinetic chain to fully uncoil while bringing the racket to the correct position behind the ball. It also allows for spin by hitting the ball while the racket is pronating. Spin is vital for a consistent second serve. The serve altogether is a very fluid and continuous motion, so avoid using too many static progressions. The following checkpoints should be used sparingly and only as needed during your shadow swings. The first position is the handcuff skateboard position. Initially, the player should have the arms relaxed and the throat of the racket resting on the wrist. The feet should be positioned comfortably with the front foot pointing slightly forward, kind of like if you were standing on a skateboard. In the next key position, the player has began their motion by turning the body and bringing the tossing arm parallel with the baseline. The racket is brought back with the knuckles facing up. In the hairbrush or saluting position, the elbow has bent, bringing the racket up over the head. This is where the racket really starts to accelerate. The racket brushes the hair back, and then in a very counterintuitive manner, the wrong side of the racket is thrown around as if you wanted to cut the ball in half or hit the ball with the edge of the racket. From here, pronation turns the racket to contact and into the wristwatch position. Finally, the racket finishes over the opposite tossing arm in the power X position. I know, it's a lot to take in, but like I said, sometimes using the drills we're about to describe makes it click without ever having to talk about many of these checkpoints. For our first and definitely most powerful drill, you're going to want to find an open space and maybe an old racket. To teach your student that the swing is a throwing motion, obviously having them just throw their racket makes a lot of sense. Make sure they're starting in the hairbrush position and using the correct grip when throwing. Whenever you see your student starting to get too mechanical, just go back to this drill so the fluidity of the motion will click for them. Okay, so basically for this drill, you want to use your backhand grip. You're going to use that sideways grip. So you don't need a ball. Hold it like that, grab on, stand sideways, and you're going to put your racket, one hand only, you're going to put your racket over your head, kind of like you're brushing your hair, okay? Right there. And from here, all you got to do is brush your hair back and throw the racket. Can you throw the racket that way? Nice. All right, hairbrush, yeah, right there, and go. Nice. I like to go straight from throwing the racket to our next drill that utilizes the serve doctor, or our serve stick. Try to get your student to do the same things they did when throwing the racket, except don't let go and turn the arm to the hit. Every once in a while, your young student will have a complete motion without ever talking about many of the checkpoints previously described. Either way, these two important drills will help your student develop the motion fluidly. The serve stick also helps to illustrate where the toss should be for the player. All right, ready? You're going to brush back and twist and turn to hit it. Good. Great job. Get that good starting position again. Nice and loose. Go. Nice. That was good. Nice and loose. That was great, Callie. Keep trying. Don't give up. Nice. Let me see you practice that swing over there, Leela. Hairbrush. Good. Right there. Wait for it. Wait for it. Go. Yeah. Come on. Oh, so close. Nice. The next drill helps players visualize the type of spin they should put on the ball. Every player should first learn a spin serve and then a flat serve, as pronation is required for spin and allows for a more effective flat serve, but is not necessary for a pancaked flat serve. This drill is where we'll be using our spin stick or spin doctor. When hitting a spin serve, the ball should be struck from 7 o'clock to 1 o'clock for a righty and from 5 to 11 for a lefty. This should happen as the racket is pronating. The spin stick really helps the player visualize this process. So when you hit a spin serve, your racket comes around and brushes the ball kind of from 7 o'clock to 1 o'clock. So if this was the face of a clock, so if the back of the ball was the face of a clock, you'd be brushing it from 7 to 1. So the racket would turn out, just like you brush your forehand, you're going to brush your serve from 7 to 1. So if I took the spin stick here, and you saw my racket would come around on edge, I'd make it spin from 7 o'clock to 1 o'clock. So why don't you just start from here, and let's see if you can get the ball to spin from 7 to 1. And notice how I finish in the wristwatch position. See how I finish in the wristwatch position? Yeah, okay, so hold the stick here, okay, right there, and then see if you can bend your arm, go like that with it. Yeah. Yeah, 7 to 1. Good. Now relax. Open your hand. Get you back on number 2, right there. It's going to come around here, right here. 7 to 1, and finish in the wristwatch position. Yeah, like that. Once a player starts to understand the serve swing, it's time to work on the toss. The best way to work on the toss is to have a player stand as if they were serving and throw the ball up with their non-hitting arm. They should try to strike a target slightly in front and to their right for a righty, to their left for a lefty. Make sure they're throwing the ball high enough so that they would have time to be able to actually hit it if they were swinging. Okay? Just make sure the ball's in your left hand. Now watch. You got to throw the ball up in the air pretty high, and you're going to try to make it land in the circle. Yeah, which is really hard. But make sure you throw it high and try to make it hit the circle, okay? And you also got to use your left hand to do it with. Throw it up high. Nice, a little higher. One additional element to add to this is having them bring their arm back parallel with the baseline before tossing. This will help them coil the body and keep the arm in an arcing motion, which helps keep the toss out in front and to the right. There's not much lost on the serve from starting in the hairbrush position. So feel free to have students do it as much as necessary until they're incorporating the hairbrush position into their entire motion. The hairbrush position is one of the hardest positions to get into on the serve. Eventually, you'll want to have your player utilizing the complete motion. The goal of the entire motion is to get the arms moving in sync, putting together the hitting arm with the tossing arm. There you have it, 5 essential strokes that will put your athlete on the road to tennis success. Gaining proficiency at these strokes can take anywhere from a few months to more than a year, depending on how much you can get your child out to the courts. If at any time you feel you've become stuck, please ask on our Facebook page or contact us for help.